Hello.
Cripes.
Right.
We're live.
We're on air for the first time in how long, actually?
Oh God, ages. Do you want to? No, but we deleted a lot of the old ones. So,
No, but when was the last time we were on?
One we did.
When was the last time we
The
did
last time-
Go on.
The last thing we did was one of the ones with Jordan, so it would have been on what's name on our actual specific Doctor Who channel.
Yeah, which according to which we should probably be doing this on now. But anyway, the last
Who
thing
cares?
the last thing we did was the
Well,
woman
it died on its bum, didn't it?
the woman
Was
who
it the
lived.
woman who lived?
Yeah, it was, and that was
Oh, God.
the
Good
30th of October 2015.
I refuse to believe that. I'm sure we did.
Did we not? No, we didn't do that. No, that's that. If you look at the uploads, and
That's just if you Google the what's name. Oh, we definitely did we did lots of good stuff actually back in the day. We did
yeah.
God, we did like the Christmas gifts
Sofa?
for Doctor Who fans.
Christmas
Hardest
gifts,
sofa. That was a good lark.
An Idiot's Guide to Classic Who. That was quite good fun. I enjoyed that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Videos.
We did that. We did that review about audio.
Oh God, no!
series.
You're right. The last thing we ever did was The Woman Who Lived.
What an anticlimax! We didn't even get to the end of series 9.
No.
No.
We didn't even get
halfway
we got
through.
3 episodes. No, 6 episodes. We barely got into season 9. That's dreadful.
Because we
I'll
had
be
the
fair.
first
It's
two.
perked up. It's perked up a lot since then, I would say.
Yeah, but things are series 9. Well, the end of series 9, I suppose, wasn't it? When
The end of series 9. I didn't like the end of series 9.
no, I didn't like it. I mean, the beginning of series 9 was fab. We quite liked the beginning.
I think I'll be honest, around the sort of a Shielder, girl who died, woman who lived, whatever it was. Around that episode, it started to go downhill because I thought the Space Viking stuff was a bit kind of nuts.
Much. Yeah, and the hybrid thing didn't fit as a cohesive.
It didn't. It
whole,
wasn't
did it?
mentioned long enough. I don't think it was given enough build up.
No, and then
be a good reveal at the end.
No, and the resolution was also a bit sort of like it was all like, well, I proposed this and I proposed that, and it was like, well, no one really decided what the hybrid was, and in the end, it was a bit underwhelming. So, but anyway, since then we've had a fabulous series.
Series 10. Series 10's been great. Yeah,
I've really enjoyed series.
I'm loving. I've got to say the sort of hiatus was kind of feeble. Yeah, I mean the return of Dr. Mysterio.
Do you know what I have? Do you know what I have not seen that actually at all.
I brought myself just to watch basically the beginning and end of the episode.
Was it any good? No,
I couldn't sit through the whole thing. It wasn't great. I can see why it wasn't popular. I'll put it this way: it felt like filler. It felt like something that they'd shoved in between series 9 and series 10. It wasn't great.
And actually, we're here to talk about.
But it's not the lowest. It's not the lowest Doctor Who has ever sunk. Because it's better than the Candyman.
Not Love and Monsters.
It's not Love and Monsters. That should be our metric for judging episodes. It's not Love and Monsters.
Well, our old metric used to be Robot of Sherwood, which was.
Oh God, yeah, Robot of Sherwood. Yeah. It's okay. It's pretty poor, but it's not Robot of Sherwood. We're fine.
Yeah. Because we are here to talk about the today's reveal, but actually we should probably, as well as talk about, we should sort of touch on the series as a whole and our thoughts. What's going to happen
series 10
in Christmas?
I don't think we should go through the whole of series 10. I think we both agreed that it was a very strong series, but I think we should chat briefly about the finale and the very ending.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought the 12, Bill and Nardole were a very strong central cast.
Yeah.
I think Nardole didn't start to come into his own until the sort of the monks episodes, but he was still like until what were they called? Extremis.
The 3 parts of the monk trilogy.
Extremis, Pyramid at the End of the World, and now
the Lie of the Land.
Lie of the Land. That's the one.
Yeah.
I think,
but for a character that wasn't meant to be in the series originally until Matt Lucas said, "I want to come and do some more Doctor Who."
Yeah.
Actually, he was a really good companion and had. And for the first time, we had a non-human Doctor Who companion, which is something that I think a lot of people have been asking for a while. Even though he looked human.
This is true. It was him, and the defining Nardole moment for me is just, Nardole, are you a secret badass? Nothing secret about it. And then he just shrieks in terror at the sight of a dead body or whatever. Instantly, he was so great. And I will say this, we're jumping ahead slightly, but I do like that when they ended his character arc, when they left, when the 12 left him behind to look after the humans.
Yeah.
They didn't palm him off with the farmer's wife, whatever her name was, the lady. They didn't actually make it a romance. They sort of just said, well, she fancies him a bit, but he's not really that fussed, and it's
I
like that it wasn't a forced romance ending.
No, and the way he said,
off into the sunset.
Well, she's only human, the starting line for his character sort of summed him up really. Because he's an alien and he's not interested in that kind of stuff. But I have to say, we've often spoken about how Moffat in years past has failed to tie it all together, and how he's often started really, really well, and then you get to the finale and you think you were so close, and then you just went in another direction, and then it all sort of fell apart.
I've got to say, if you want good examples of series sort of arcs and stuff like that, you look at Bad Wolf. You look at Vote Saxon. There were little moments in every episode, or most episodes, there were little hints here and there.
Yeah.
And then it all felt at the end, in the last episode, they'd have a little flashback and you just see all those and you go, oh yeah, they've been building up to this for ages. But Moffat's had this feeling where you've kind of gone, he would set up the finale in episode 1.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't hear a damn thing about it until the end of the year. And I was
the only time
it got annoying.
The only time a really obvious arc has really worked was series 5, where the crack was very obvious, but that one worked. But then
the silence and the lake in
Silence and the Lake,
that worked okay. I gotta say that one was all right. The question and stuff.
But I think that was a difficult time for him because he was trying to introduce the show in America, and I think it felt different, and I think it was quite a tricky couple of years, wasn't it? Those
it was an odd 6, 7 were a bit. 7 was kind of ropey. Wasn't 7 the one that was split in half? Or was that?
Yes. Well, 6 and 7 was split in half, but 7 was split in half with Clara in the second half.
Clara in the second half, and then 8 was 11 and Clara. 8 was 12 and Clara.
12 and Clara. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Oh God.
Yeah, because 8 was the first series for Missy, wasn't it?
Yes. I know what you mean.
And actually, this year, I mean, the arc has really been about Missy's morality, hasn't it?
Yes, and the redemption of, and then shooting herself in the back.
Yeah, and I think
that was so funny.
And actually, a lot of people have sort of had their reservations about how the Masters were portrayed in the finale. But actually, when you think about it, if you had 2 Masters in a story, what would always end up happening is they would always end up then fancying each other and then killing each other. I mean, they were, in quite the opposite way to how in multi-Doctor episodes they team up and work together to defeat, something else. The Masters will team up and go, we're quite bored now, and then we'll probably end. And I think I really liked the way in which they played off each other, and the way in which John Sims Master played off the Doctor in a situation for the first time that wasn't like me versus him. Yet he was still always just sniping at him, and the way he was sniping at Bill as a Cyberman and all that sort of stuff, I thought was really well played.
I've got to say the stuff of Bill as a Cyberman was fantastic. The way they dealt with her still perceiving herself as a human was fantastic. I really love that.
Yeah, really, really good. Really. And the Rachel Talalay, whatever her name is, the director, did a fabulous job with that, and the transitions between the two. And I think one of the most profound images from that episode is to see Bill as a modern Cyberman crying dead body is quite a profound image.
Yes.
And I think it's a really interesting way of doing it, and I just thought it was a fabulous way. It was a really good way to bring them back, and it was a really nice way of tying up all the loose ends about how the Cybermen had several different origin stories.
Yeah, I did like. It was only a throwaway line, but they said something like, "As wherever there are people,
yeah,
there will eventually be Cybermen," because it's just one of those things that happens. People face adversity, and some idiot will go, "Oh, let's tack bits on."
Because obviously Russell had a big, he changed it with the whole Lumen.
Yeah, he changed it with the parallel universe. But of course, then they rebooted the whole universe, so the original Mondasian Cybermen, didn't really exist. This is some serious like high level continuity stuff now with
no, but I mean
throwing boulders around. I mean, what the hell's going on? But I take your point entirely. It was very well crafted.
There's a clear difference, isn't there, between Daleks and the Cybermen in that respect. And I think it was like, even though it was a throwaway line, it was nice that it was at least mentioned. And so we haven't really talked much about Bill.
Bill was lovely. I thought she was a really well created character.
Yeah.
Unlike I really got bored of Clara. I think we had a lot of you and I had a lot of bones to pick with Clara, because she was she was two-dimensional really. When she was first introduced, there was a lot going for her. She had a lot of interesting stuff at the beginning. The Impossible Girl stuff, and after that petered out. She was just some bland girl who hanging out with Matt Smith, and then a kind of bland girl who couldn't deal with the fact that Matt Smith was an old man now. It was really...
and then became somebody who thought that she could do the Doctor's job better than he could.
Basically, so she had a massive ego and almost nothing else going for her, which is kind of insulting. And Bill being sorry, after you.
No, I was going to say, it's a wonder that the Doctor actually, waited 4.5 billion years for Clara in Confession Dial, because it seems like quite a lot for somebody.
Well, he would have waited that long anyway, just to get out of it without telling them his biggest secrets. But that was a great season finale. Even though the arc leading up to it was atrocious, that was a great episode. That's Solo Capaldi. If we'd still been doing the Whovian vlog back then, you, me, and Jordan would have been pooing ourselves. It was amazing.
I mean, I think Heaven Sent was probably one of the best episodes of Doctor Who I've ever watched. It was just that Hellbent didn't quite.
Exactly.
That was the. I don't know. I mean, have you watched Hellbent since series 9?
I think I have watched it back. I did love. I forget the name of the actor now. I'll look him up. I did love Rassilon, because Rassilon's not a character who appears often, but he is very important in the whole Doctor Who mythos. And I do love it when Modern Who. He's only appeared twice. He was Tim Dalton in The End of Time, and whoever this old chap was. Rassiol. I can't remember his name, but he's a very important character, and I like that new Doctor Who has brought the character into line with the Big Finish Rassilon, because in between Classic Who and New Who is all the Big Finish audio stuff, and in all of that, Rassilon is a kind of, he's almost a space Hitler. I mean, that's not an accusation that I throw out willy-nilly. He thought Time Lords were racially superior, and that's why they locked him in the Dark Tower. So I do like it when they've brought him. Let me see, Donald Sumpter.
All right,
says here. Yeah, right. Donald. Yes, that is the chap. Yes, but they were. Yeah, And
I agree with you about Rassilon. The whole introduction of Rassilon. He's just a big meanie, really. And proves that the Time Lords are not sentient, sort of infallible beings. They are.
Oh yes.
They
absolutely have their.
But this is the thing. I think one of the things that griped me a big about that story, the Hellbent story, was the way Gallifrey was reintroduced. Because obviously we knew that Gallifrey was in this pocket bubble universe after the Day of the Doctor. And the line goes something like, Clara says, "I thought you said they were in a pocket universe," and then the Doctor says, "They must have just escaped." And I don't know whether this is just a thing between the sort of hardcore fans on whether most people wouldn't give a toss. But I find that kind of stuff almost ruins an episode for me, because I'm thinking, well, you've set it up brilliantly. You know, the Moffat's Pocket Universe thing in The Day of the Doctor was
the Of the Doctor episodes,
yeah,
as a series of 4 episodes,
yeah,
flawless.
Yeah,
flawless. Time of the Doctor, that setup
yeah.
for it was amazing. It was amazing.
But the thing, what I don't understand is why all that setup is then sort of just ignored for the sake of using Gallifrey, and you think, well, actually, maybe you know, he used Gallifrey as a tool. The only reason the Gallifrey is in the episode is the Doctor can steal a TARDIS and take Clara as far away from Gallifrey as possible, so that she might be able to break out of this whole thing, and she might be able to live and keep on going, even though she's, you know, stopped between one heartbeat and the next. So that really annoyed me about that story. But you know, you never know. I've read some interesting fan theories about the possibility that the Christmas special may look back to the whole moment of saving Gallifrey, and we may see the scene with the eyebrows that we saw in The Day of the Doctor, and actually maybe there's
because we still haven't had that in Capaldi's time as the Doctor.
No.
Yeah, that's I quite like that, actually. I quite like that thought. It might very well be the last thing he does before he changes, which would be especially interesting because that was his first ever appearance on screen.
So our first glimpse of him will also be our last
action,
which leads us quite.
Well, actually, hasn't.
No, go on.
Hasn't his TARDIS been redecorated?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I think obviously at the time that he shot that, the TARDIS was Matt Smith's
still using Matt Smith's TARDIS,
which was similar, but it had the colours were blues rather than oranges. So I think that's probably just going to be dismissed as a sort of minor continuity error, because at the time obviously he was using Matt's TARDIS and all the rest of it. But that does lead us quite neatly into today's big news, doesn't it?
Oh God, yes, it does. I suppose so. You go first, because you've got much more to say about it. You were much more cynical.
I think I'm much more conflicted than you are. I think.
Yes. I see.
Because there's a part of me, there's a sort of traditional part of me that is sort of inwardly screaming and sort of like, no, please, no, just stop. You know, please, I want to get off the world. Everything's moving. You know. But then the other part of me is thinking, well, actually, I really enjoyed Missy. So why can't I enjoy the Doctor being a woman? And I don't know. I think what I said to you when we were discussing this on Message earlier, actually, is you don't know the reason why you don't want the Doctor to be a woman is irrational, because you're like, oh, it just has to be a man.
Yes, it's because the character has always been.
Yeah. So because it's about a feeling rather than any fact. So actually, in effect, you can only know whether or not you're happy with it being a woman when you actually see it happen.
Yeah. And it's probably not even, to be honest, any. There's no problem in the show or in the BBC with the part being taken by a woman.
No.
If she's not good in the role, that's not because she's a woman. I don't feel like I have to stress that. It's just her.
No, it's because
we both agree there have been some people who were better doctors than others, and some people who weren't as good doctors as others.
Yeah, and some doctors
and that's the way it goes.
Played by bad writing when they, you know, Peter has been an example of that.
I mean, I do love them all, but some more than others, let's face it. So
yeah.
Whether or not she's good, let's leave aside for now whether or not she'll be good in the role. It won't be. It's not going to be, and there will be some people who will say that, who will say they don't like the episodes. Will say, "Oh, it's rubbish, and it's because she's a woman." No.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think there's so many more elements to it, and there are some things you think, like, well, how did that? So what happens now if we have a situation where she has a male companion? How does that work in the 21st century? You know, I suppose we've become used to seeing the Doctor as a man taking mostly female companions and showing them the universe, and so in effect having that reversed, you know, where it's going to be challenging in quite a lot of ways to sort of male dominance in
Yeah,
society. Do you know what I mean? Like it's in a way I find it quite odd because I haven't seen it before to see this woman as the sentient being, this remarkable, woman with two hearts and all the rest of it, and time travel, showing a man around the world is something that I don't think we've seen before.
Well, not really in television.
No, and I would
argue.
I'd like that to happen. I would like it to be a balanced, balanced crew on the TARDIS in that sense.
I think it would make I think Missy was great, but they did make her. Actually, you know what? They didn't make the mistake. They didn't make the mistake with Missy of changing her too much from the Master, if you see what I mean. She was very flirty with the Doctor. Like, I think her first lines were, "Did you like my boyfriend?" of the Doctor.
Yeah.
But John Sims' Master was very flirtatious with David Tennant, really.
He was.
If you think about their dynamic. So, even though he was only in it for 2 episodes. So, or 4, actually. So, they didn't change Missy too much from, they obviously made her a woman, but they didn't change the key character elements too much to sort of, like, to try and compensate weirdly for that. They didn't make her do anything. She had her umbrella did the sonic functions, but that was part of her costume, not part of that. It wasn't as if she had. It wasn't as if it was pink.
No. Yeah,
and I don't want them to write a female Doctor. I want them to write a Doctor for an actress, for a female
exactly.
Actor. And that is something that I'm worried about. But here's the thing. Characters like, it's gone down in previous years, but the girl companion was always, I hate to say it, was always the fan service, was always the Amy Pond get legs out. And I kind of feel like, if I'm perfectly happy for that to be, for us to, the sort of Jamie McCrimmon, bit dishy male companion. But I feel like there's going to be articles in the Daily, the Maily Dale, saying it's disgusting reverse sexism that they've got him to get his kit off on telly.
Exactly.
Because actually, and accusing them of objectifying the male companion, I'm sure that will happen. But to be honest, I think when you have a sort of, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to have a lady playing the Doctor. And I think when you have a change this big, there are always going to be opponents to it. But I think I hope that the writing is solid enough. That enough people who were sort of going, well, maybe it's not going to be great now that it's Jodie Whittaker.
Whittaker. Which is a great name.
It's a great name, yes. Whittaker. I think hopefully the writing will be strong enough that, and because I know she can pull it off, but as long as the writing gets better.
That's the thing. I think
it'll be a good enough show under its own merit that it won't really matter. And that's what it should. It shouldn't really matter in my mind that it's
before the announcement, this is quite interesting because were you hoping it would be a woman?
I'll be honest, it didn't matter a great deal to me because I thought as long as the writing gets better, any good actor can make
pull it off.
And it didn't matter too much to me. I didn't think it would be. I'll be honest. I approved enormously of many of the women who were suggested. On the sort of speculative media outlets. And the betting and things. I approved of a lot of them, but I thought it won't be this one. It might be the next one or the one after. But I didn't think it would be. So I was very pleased.
Actually, in a way, one thing I can take from it is I am glad it wasn't Chris Marshall, because whilst I've enjoyed his performances in lots of other programs, his style of acting is not one that I think would necessarily bring a great deal to the part. And I was expecting if he had been the Doctor, would have been quite a bland portrayal.
Yes. In Death in Paradise, he's very Matt Smith. He's very bumbling Englishman, and
sort of.
And the only other thing I know him from is Love Actually, and he's got a big knob. So my opinion of Chris Marshall wasn't high, but I would have taken it. I would have been.
So in terms of writing, what writers do we think that?
I like to think they'll have some of the old stalwarts, Gatiss and who was?
Do you think Gatiss though? Because this is the thing. I mean, I mean, Gatiss has been he's very polarizing, isn't he? Because he's either very good
or terrible,
or terrible, and there's not a great deal in the middle.
No, I do. I think Gatiss would be great. I mean, he was in support of a female doctor, so I think he'll be.
Yeah. I think
superb.
Do Shell Frank Cottrell voice for a start, don't we?
Oh God, I was just trying to find his name so I could bring him up. Yeah, he was God. He was in the Forest of the Night, and what was
Smile.
Which Smile was okay. It was probably the weakest of season 10.
Yeah, it was the weakest of a good series, but I mean, I think the reason why people enjoyed it was more to do with the fact that it was the first story with Bill and the 10th, 12th after they'd met, you know. And so I think that would have got a bit of a fairer hearing. Had it been later on, it would have been. Sorry.
Jamie Mathieson. We've talked about him before, and I can't remember what episode it was with regards to, but he wrote Oxygen in this series, which was very, very good.
Yeah,
Oxygen was good.
Did he write the Zygon two-parter last year?
I think he did. He did. Not last year. No, he wrote.
Was it 2 years?
No, Zygons was Peter Harness or Harness, yeah. And no, Jamie Mathieson was Flatline, the one with the 2D.
Oh yes.
I've got my list. Gareth Roberts has always been like since I think he was around in Russell T's day actually. He's been
I think he was.
I think he wrote for Torchwood as well. So he again.
Yeah. Are there any writers
we haven't seen?
What about writers from? I was going to say writers from Russell's era that we might want to see come back.
Things that Chris Chibnall has written for Doctor Who in the past. He did the Silurian stuff in Matt Smith's.
Oh, that was quite good.
That was really good, actually.
Really good.
He's clearly got experience bringing back, introducing classic monsters and modernising them.
Yeah, because he brought back Unit, didn't he, in Sign of 3? Was Sign of 3? No, Power of 3, that was called.
Was that his, Chris?
Yeah, I think so.
He wrote 42. That's his first credit in Doctor Who. 42, Martha. Which was the son, Martha and David Tennant, and the son that possessed people. That was a good episode. I was quite scared of that one actually back in the day, but I'm a worse. So he did write the Power of 3, but he sadly also wrote Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, which was very light-hearted and whimsical, but a bit silly. But I tell you what, that means he's worked with David Bradley before. Should we talk about?
Yes.
Should we talk about that? Should we talk about the Christmas special?
Yeah, can we talk about that? Because I mean, at no point did it. I mean, I had you heard the rumors beforehand that it was possibly going to happen?
God, no, I hadn't heard any rumors.
Really? So it was really a total surprise for you?
The David Bradley, yes, it was absolutely a surprise. I thought Capaldi would either. I thought it was going to be regenerated at Christmas, but I thought they might surprise us and do it at the end of the season. But I had no idea what was going to happen at Christmas. I hadn't really heard anything about that. So David Bradley was a surprise, but not a surprise in the way that some of the big twists have been.
Yeah, because
the ones where you just go, "Oh my God, I can't believe they did that." But it's kind of like, "Oh, that's nice. Oh, you had my interest." But
yeah. Well, I think the thing is, obviously, a lot of Series 10 was spoiled by reveals. John Sim was revealed right at the beginning.
Oh, he was revealed far too soon, and I think it was particularly upsetting because, do you know what? I kind of feel like you're either going to agree with me or just laugh in my face, but I genuinely didn't peg Razor as John Sim for the whole episode. That was a complete surprise to me that it was John Sim the whole time. I knew John Sim was going to turn up at the end, but that makeup was amazing. And normally I'm quite savvy, and I can sit there and go, I think this is going to happen. I think this person's going to do something.
Rather ironically, almost as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh, the shape of his face." I just saw, and I thought, "Yeah, that's him." And so throughout the entire episode, I was waiting for it. But the other thing was with the David Bradley thing, I'd heard rumors, but then the day before the finale, I had seen photographs on set of the 12th and the first Doctor's TARDIS together, and I'd seen wide shots of the First Doctor on set. So at that point, I was just waiting for it to happen. But do you know what? It didn't spoil it for me.
No.
Because it actually then, when I heard him in the snow, because I'd also read the theory that because people had said, well, it's highly possible because if he's landed in the snow, that's most likely to be Antarctica 1986, where the First Doctor regenerates. And so when I heard his voice, I was like, oh, this is absolutely fantastic. And it was, and it wasn't so much a sort of, oh, well, that was ruined for me. It was like, my thoughts have been confirmed, and I'm so happy about it. Because I think we can both agree that An Adventure in Space and Time was an absolutely cracking.
Oh, it was amazing. It was like, you know how good it was? Even my parents liked it.
Well, there we are. There we are.
Now, here's the question that I'm going to ask you, Ben.
We have one viewer, by the way.
My God, are you serious?
One person. I was waiting to see the change because it's been on 0 for a good half an hour, and now it's turned to 1. I don't know who it is.
One person is watching us. Whoever you are, hello.
Hello. Welcome.
We're just having a bit of banter. We're going to talk about Christmas for a bit, and then probably I think we'll talk about the Christmas special, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about how we think Capaldi is going to bow out and the introduction of the new Lady Doctor.
Yeah.
So, if this bit with David Bradley is meant to be William Hartnell's First Doctor.
Yeah.
After because I'm just looking at the plot of the 10th Planet because I know they're in the ice station and then the Doctor leaves.
Yeah.
His companions follow him out into the blizzard. They all end up in the TARDIS and he regenerates there. But I'm not sure because I'm just thinking if the Doctor is on the verge of regenerating when he leaves.
Yeah.
Like if he staggers out of the ice station critically ill and then collapses into the TARDIS, then this isn't going to make much continuity sense to have David Bradley just swanning around with Peter Capaldi for an hour.
Yeah, but remember there is also in that state right now because he's halfway.
Yes, Peter is. I know. I take your point, but it wouldn't make much sense. Whereas if alternatively, if the Doctor leaves, the First Doctor leaves the ice station as a what's name? If he leaves the ice station feeling fine and ends up in the TARDIS keeled over, we could get a concrete reason as to why the First Doctor regenerated instead of just sort of old age or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm just reading the plot on TARDIS. By the way, no sponsors. God knows Ben and I have had enough sponsors over the years. But, TARDIS Wiki is actually really, really good for containing all the plots comprehensively for if you want to sort of make reference to old episodes. The Doctor suffers from exhaustion all through the episode because the Cybermen are like draining energy from the Earth to power themselves.
But it's entirely possible that we see the two, not the two of them regenerate together, of course, because that would be a massive continuity error. But like see them both, because if his power is being drained throughout, then he's on a similar path to Peter's Doctor in the sense that he's fighting his regeneration and he's slowly dying. So, in much the same way as 10, because to be fair, 10 should really have regenerated as soon as he was hit by all that radiation in the end of time. But he had just enough energy to stagger through all of his companions and get to the TARDIS and then regenerate. So he had enough energy for that. So he had enough energy to do that. Then perhaps Peter's got enough energy for one sort of last adventure with the First Doctor, as they both sort of start to slowly decay, perhaps. To the one viewer who's watching, I think Milo may have dropped out. All I can see is him with his finger on his lips on my screen, so I am worried that he has lost transmission. Anyway, well, I'll just carry on speaking until Milo returns. So yeah, I think it's entirely possible that I've seen a. Oh, hang on, Milo.
Just back.
Milo, you're back.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying about how I've seen I think the scene just before the Doctor regenerates was one of the scenes that was recreated in animated form. The 10th Planet is one of the episodes where they've thrown away some of the episodes.
Yes, I know what you mean. I've actually got I think you and I compared which episodes we owned on disc at one point. I've got Patrick Troughton's The Invasion.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Of 8 episodes, I think 2 or 3 are recreated entirely in animation, which is very interesting. I'm just looking at an adventure in space and time and thinking, they had got Robin Varley and Ellie Spicer playing the 2 companions who are with William Hartnell when he regenerates.
Right.
So they could get them back and they could refilm Hartnell's regeneration scene.
Right.
With them, yeah, they wanted to, or they could just have a brief, a 2 or 3 second shot of him collapsing in the TARDIS and then coming in and going, "Doctor,"
yeah,
and then just leave it to our imagination. Definitely, we need to see Capaldi regenerate, but
yeah, obviously, yeah, but I mean,
but yes, so they do have, so they could recreate Ben and Polly.
Yeah, so that's entirely possible. It's quite. I'm trying to read the synopsis now as well, and trying to look at the final episode, which was how many episodes? Was it 4 episodes? Serial.
10th Planet, yeah, 4 episodes, yeah.
So it says Ben runs out to the cyber ship to free Polly and a semi-conscious Doctor. Doctor seems to deliberate before settling that it's far from being all over and alerting his companions that he must return to the TARDIS immediately, so he won't catch his death of cold. But the Doctor gives him an unusually distant reply, concerned with something more important at hand. He says, "Ah, yes, thank you. It's good. Keep warm," in a very abbreviated way, without a lick of humour to be found. Bearing little attention to Ben or Polly, he even deserts them, rushing off alone. So this is the point where people have theorised that when he deserts Ben and Polly is the point when he is staggering back to the TARDIS and he comes across the 12th Doctor.
I agree, but that's most likely. But David Bradley seems to be in remarkably good shape.
Yes, that's the thing.
I mean, I know William Hartnell wasn't a well man when they filmed that, but
no, he
still,
wasn't.
David Bradley. David Bradley seems a lot. Yeah.
Sorry.
After you.
I was going to say he doesn't appear in. I think there's one of the episodes he doesn't appear at all. Or very briefly because William Hartnell was so ill at the time.
Yes. Oh dear. Yes. So I see. I can understand why this is what everybody thinks, but I am struggling to see how they're going to work it into the existing episode. That's the problem.
Yeah. But we also
we'll see. We'll see.
Question about how the 12th Doctor has started to regenerate a number of times. How is he going to be able to
How's he going to be able to?
How's he going to be able to get through this episode and whatever's going to face him? Because we're asking some serious questions here about the process of regeneration now, aren't we? And possibly the possibility of it actually being a different process to what we've originally, to how we've seen it in the past, which is what Moffat had said was going to happen. But I'm curious to see how he's going to pull it off. Well, I don't know what you think about that.
Can I dip into my lore bucket?
Please do.
Excellent. In Doctor Who lore, regeneration works through Time Lords have in their bodies these sort of self-replicating biogenic molecules that when injured they rebuild the body completely, and the reason that so they rebuild the body completely, they rebuild the brain slightly less than the rest of it, so that the core personality stays fairly similar, but and they retain all their memories. And because Rassilon was a great scientist and he did all this stuff. Highly recommend Big Finish's Zagreus. It's very good. It's got 4 doctors in it. So I can believe that Capaldi is angry enough to hold back regeneration. What I'm interested in is, I think it'll either be incredibly explosive like Matt Smith or David Tennant, or it'll be a very soft kind of Christopher Eccleston or one like that, where he just sort of he gets back to the TARDIS and he just sort of, and rather than exploding everywhere or sort of having that very quick bang that Capaldi had when he appeared, I think it would probably be good after all this fighting for him to go gently and to just
a bit like the Fourth Doctor did without the Watcher, of course, but the Fourth Doctor went quite.
Yes, not stringing it out for quite that long, but
no,
to have a bit of the old gold special effects and then there she is.
Yeah.
And how tall is she? Do you know?
I do
Good
not
question.
know.
She is 1.67. What's that? That's shorter than Alex Kingston.
Yeah. So, but is it entirely possible that because you know,
I was just thinking her wearing Peter Capaldi's clothes is going to be very, very funny. But yeah, she's. She's 4 foot. She's 4 foot. She's 5 foot. 5'6", 5'5".
Now this is something we haven't discussed. I mean, this is really interesting because actually quite fascinating the point you just made there about the clothes, because we're going to see her wearing Peter's clothes, which I think is quite interesting. I mean, it would probably look fine, but it's just there's so many things now that we haven't. There's so many different things that we haven't thought about until this point, until we now know it's going to happen, like that. And also, you know, when we think about when under the man as a doctor, and you think about, right, well, what are his options to wear? It's now totally new, because you're like, well,
now basically doubled.
Yeah,
she can wear twice as much.
Yeah,
because women can wear masculine clothes,
like she wore in that video. She was wearing sort of Sherlock style coat.
She was wearing a sort of long coat with a hood, and I quite like that coat. And I don't think it'll be what she wears, but I quite like it.
Because she said in an interview that that's not what she's going to wear, and they haven't decided what she's going to wear yet. But actually, that's quite interesting, because you don't know then. You know, is she going to be quite a feminine doctor that you know wears dresses and things, or is she going to be you know, more and these are things. I don't think these are things, you know. I think if you start to make them, if you start to objectify them and make them about women, about sort of rating the outfits, then that's the problem. But actually the fascination about the style, and I think that's really interesting, and I'm always fascinated by the choices that they make.
I think trousers more practical for all the running and stuff.
All the running, yeah. I think actually, one of the things I've really enjoyed about Peter is how, particularly this series, his style. He's had so many new coats this series with various linings and whatnot, and
yes, but they can't just have her like a companion changing her outfit all the time. That would be absurd.
No,
the doctor's got to have a look. But they can change, like Tennant changed his suit between two colours. I think that might be an interesting idea, to have her changing between two coats or two shirts or something else, or do something like that. But no, I think they've got to have a look, and they've got to stick with their guns. I like the idea akin to David Tennant's long coat that he would put on over. I like the idea of having something that's going to sort of billow out a little bit and look good. But I've no idea. I think what's interesting is, do you think David Bradley's first Doctor is going to convince Capaldi to let go?
I think
move on with his regeneration.
Well, I think they're going. I think actually they're both going to convince each other, because they're both saying, "I will not change. I'm not going to change." And so, obviously, for David's Doctor, it's the first time he's regenerating. For Peter's Doctor, it's the first one in a new regeneration cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a case of, I think there must be a way in the plot for Moffat to actually have made them both realise that the universe need, like Bill said, I'm never going to believe you're dead because one day the universe is just going to need you too much. I think maybe it'll come back to that point. Maybe what they go through in that final episode will make them realize that it's not that they don't want to go, it's that they have to carry on. And even though it's a horrible experience, they have to change for the sake of the universe.
Yes, to keep that cycle of change and renewal is vital for all this.
And maybe the first Doctor just doesn't really know that yet, because obviously, because he is so comparatively young, his effect on the universe is actually comparatively small compared to by the time we're at 12. So he's perhaps yet to realise just how important he is, and maybe what Peter does is, maybe this is where the whole Gallifrey thing comes in. Maybe it's at that point that the First Doctor and the 12th Doctor go in with their commencing calculations moment, and they both realise, the First Doctor realises, well, down the line, I'm going to be really quite important. I'm going to have to save my own planet from the Daleks. And maybe, I don't know, Peter will, I'm obviously have to convince himself, otherwise someone's out of a job somewhere. So yeah, I don't know.
Actually, you know what? I that's a very good thought. I liked the idea that Peter would, if, as we said earlier, if this is the episode where we finally see Capaldi go back to the 50th anniversary special, I liked the idea that Peter would accept that he was going to regenerate and would do that as one last, in the same way that David Tennant visited all his companions one last time. I think the idea of Capaldi saying, right, I've got one thing left to do, and it's turn up for the 50th.
Oh, that's the other thing.
Many years late,
Have you heard the rumours about a possible Clara return?
I have. I've heard little bits and bobs, and I don't like the idea of her returning.
Do you think it's going to be a sort of Amy-style return?
I don't mind that. If it's going to be a little
cameo of Rose,
like the Amy Pond, like Rose, like all that. But no, I think then it's going to become precedent, because Matt had.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I found it.
I didn't mind it, but I think if they do it with this one again, it'll become a thing that happens. And
the thing that annoyed me about it with Matt was that back at the time when Clara was still fairly new, and I quite liked her character. I felt that it kind of trampled on the Clara and the Doctor thing by almost suggesting that, well, Amy's more important to him because he's now having this huge flashback and all the rest of it. And I think it kind of, the other thing was, he said his final line and then he saw Amy, and I almost felt like as if it was kind of not necessary for the whole scene to work. I don't know. But I think, if obviously the Doctor can't visit Clara because he doesn't remember her, so she has to find him. That's the crucial thing, because he's not going to have a clue who the hell she is. Maybe it's a case of maybe he pops. Oh no, otherwise we would have known about him going back to the diner because they would have seen him.
Yes, him. Yeah, well, exactly. They definitely haven't been over to America to do all that.
No.
But the diner, you never know. I'm just thinking, the ending. You said something like the First Doctor doesn't want to regenerate either. I heard that dialogue as actually not as David Bradley also saying, I don't want to change. I heard it as David Bradley saying to Capaldi, it's ridiculous that you don't want to change. He says something like, not change, ridiculous. He said, I can't remember the exact words, but the way I heard that dialogue
as an imitation, effectively.
I heard it as David Bradley saying to Capaldi, "You're being absurd," and you heard it as David Bradley saying the same things as.
Yeah, it depends.
I think he says something absurd or something ridiculous, and that for me sounded more. I think it was just the intonations of it. But anyway, either way, if David Bradley thinks Capaldi's being absurd, then we're in for basically an hour of two crotchety old men going, change. No, I don't want to.
Yeah. Change, you have to.
Which will actually be quite fun. Change, you old git. No, you're just a kid. You're only 100 years old.
The irony is that the 12th Doctor needs him to change, otherwise he ceases to exist, which is quite. Dave Brownie's just like, no, I'm not going to change, mate, and then he just dies, and then Doctor Who just ends.
Yep, that was Doctor Who.
And it's all like, you thought you were going to get a woman, you haven't got a woman, and then everyone just sort of.
God, don't say that.
Can you imagine that, though?
We're going to get people in the comments going, what a great idea.
Oh, yeah, the other thing I did think earlier was that it is the 13th Doctor, and that's a little bit unlucky, isn't it?
Well, if you go by regeneration cycles, she's actually the 15th.
Yeah, let's go with that. She's not the 13th.
I find it incredibly funny that it's taken 15 attempts to get a woman.
Yeah.
Normally it's 50-50, but apparently. Because we had War Doctor and we had 2 David Tennants. I actually, sidetracking somewhat, remember the old days when we used to sidetrack all the time? Ben?
Oh, this isn't a tangent, this is another circle. Yeah, go on.
Sidetracking a little, I put some effort into working out the Masters regeneration cycles.
Okay.
And so in The Sound of Drums, we saw that little boy, William Hughes.
Yeah.
I think we know for sure that William Hughes was. I can't remember where it's gone. I think we know for sure that William Hughes was the first master. He was the master as a very small child.
Yeah.
So we've got him. We've then got, going back to Classic Who, we know that Peter Pratt, who was a sort of 4th Doctor villain, we know he was the last master because he was out of regenerations.
Yeah.
And then after that, he went into some like body snatching. He did all that for Anthony Ainley, and then in the TV movie, he was basically stealing people's bodies and hopping body by possessing them. So Delgado was before Peter Pratt. So
yeah, but was Delgado was he the 13th? Was he the final incarnation in the first regeneration cycle? Is that why he started stealing bodies?
I think he was the 12th, and then Peter Pratt was the last, and then it was body hopping.
Right. Okay.
That was my thinking. So there's like 10 masters that we just hadn't seen in the middle. But apparently the Doctor didn't meet him between Gallifrey and the 3rd Doctor. Apparently they didn't meet each other at all because the master was off trying to destroy the universe or whatever. And
busy regenerating.
Because a Time Lord comes to visit John Pertwee and says, one of your old friends is on Earth, the Master. And then he goes, the Master. So he body hops for a bit, and then now this is delving into some Big Finish, but the Master got new regeneration cycle in the Time War.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They gave him a new cycle. The first one of that would have been Alex McQueen, who's the one in the Big Finish, Dark Eyes.
The bald one.
Bald man.
Yeah. I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Paul McGann calls him like Chrome Dome.
Okay.
Or Flaphead, or
Yeah.
You've got no hair.
Yeah.
There's that. Then we know that after he may have had other incarnations in the war, but then we know that Derek Jacobi, he used a chameleon arch to turn himself back into a baby. Derek Jacobi, and then John Sim, and then Michelle Gomez. So we don't know. So I'm going to say Michelle Gomez is the 4th of a second cycle. But
then actually, do we know there could be another regeneration in between Sim and Gomez, because we don't see him regenerate.
No. It's definitely implied in the episode, because it's definitely said, because Missy says, I don't remember turning into me from you, or something like that. She does say, I don't remember turning into a woman. And then they say, oh, well, you won't remember any of this, Johnson, because the timelines are tangled. And then she goes, and then when she kills him, when she stabs him, she says something to the effect of, oh, you'll like me. I can't remember exactly what she says, and it's annoying. Yeah. But she does say, she basically says, you're going to go and turn into me.
But I think there was that scene when they were dancing, and he says to her, so are you the next one along? And she says, I can't quite remember, it's all a bit fuzzy.
Yes, and that's what but then it's because the timelines are crossed, and he doesn't remember any of it when he...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I think they are direct one and then the other, but there could have been incarnations between Alex McQueen and Derek Jacobi.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is of course, is that theoretically the Master has killed himself. Don't even bother to regenerate, giving him the full blast. So
he's come back from the dead so many times. Who cares?
Yeah, and the thing is that at least now we finally know how John Sims' master managed to escape.
That's true.
Or managed to escape at the end of time, and they sort of had a mutual agreement, a gentleman's agreement, and then said, "Well, we'll fob you off to the universe, and we'll get rid of your drumming, and we'll cure you of your weird skull crap that was going on, and then in return you can leave us alone." And that's what happened, I suppose, isn't it? And then he ended up where he was then, sort of with the genesis of the Cybermen, effectively. Well, one genesis of the Cybermen, effectively.
Yes.
It was an interesting, who knows how or whether Chris Chibnall, when he brings back the Master, whether he'll even bother to explain how Missy didn't really die. Or whether he might put a couple of incarnations, like you said, in that Time War position. Perhaps there may.
I've got to say, it's very, but I find it unlikely that they have called Alex McQueen the War Master. No need for that, because he's just the Master. He's always full of war and hatred and death.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea that they would both manage to, against all the odds, because Time Lords. If you read any of the stuff about the Time War, they were all being killed all the time. I do like the idea that both the Doctor and the Master managed to hang on to a single face through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
But if it was going to be, the both of them, John Hurt and Alex McQueen, were the War incarnations. But I do kind of find it funny that of the two, the Master would be the one to get killed and to go through faces like other people go through shirts. So I think I don't really know what I think, but I have no idea what the end of that sentence was. But I think it was nice Moffat left the, we don't actually see Sim regenerate, which is quite nice. Maybe that leaves a door open for something else in the future. I don't know whether it does or not. But you would have thought that if Sim regenerated into another bloke, then he'd have to, then down the line we'd have to come up with another explanation for why Missy didn't remember her regeneration. So
but I
think it's
maybe
easier to err on the side of caution. But
the only option for Sim to really return would be seeing him between End of Time and the next time, but that wouldn't involve the Doctor, of course, because
that wouldn't involve the Doctor, because that wouldn't line up.
No. And also, I mean, how bad is a flipping stab wound going to be for a man?
Well, I think it was in the spine or something like that, and it was probably it was in the back, wasn't it, or in the
literally stabbed in the back.
Did she dirk him gently?
Or whether he can just heal it and carry on for a bit.
No, it was fatal. She said it was fatal.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And the Master's very good at killing people, let's be honest. But I think the standout line of dialogue has got to be, this is how it ends. We shoot ourselves in the back. It's just shoot ourselves in the back. It's the emphasis on in the back. John Sim was amazing. He really was. He was great.
Did you notice the costume was actually sort of shadowing Peter's, because he had on his jacket, which had a weird sort of buttoning up, he had a flap that had red lining on it.
I see. Very nice. Yeah,
I really liked his new costume. I quite liked that. It was a lot nicer than like the sort of hoodie and jeans from.
Yes, and it was more of an interesting outfit,
and it looked a lot more like
suit.
It did look like previous Masters, which looked
very much, the goatee as well. He looked very Delgado, very Anthony Ainley. All he needed was the black gloves, really. Was he wearing them? I don't think he was.
Wearing what? I didn't hear that bit.
Black gloves, I said. As a true villain. All the bad guys wear black gloves.
Because Anthony Ainley wears black gloves throughout, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah, Delgado did as well, but I think Delgado wore grey, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So we've discussed Christmas. We've discussed the Master.
Christmas. What do you think? And here's sorry, just to say one more thing about Christmas, because I mentioned that. I'm already forgetting her name, Jodie Whittaker. I mentioned that she is much shorter than Peter, and I'm sure they'll make a joke about the clothes being too big, but unlike Tennant and not Tennant really, but unlike Matt Smith, and they won't be able to. And Capaldi, Tennant and Capaldi didn't. They got into a dressing gown and a nightshirt respectively. But unlike Matt Smith, she won't be able to spend her first episode wearing the predecessor's clothes because they're much too big for her. And I hope, like Patrick Troughton, we're not going to get someone who regenerates and changes their clothes at the same time, which is very funny to look back on.
Is that what happened?
Different clothes. Patrick Troughton, when he appears for the first time, is wearing different clothes than William Hartnell was.
Really? That's fabulous.
I think he's wearing I think he's wearing not a bow tie or something, but he's wearing a different shirt. And actually, Tom Baker was as well.
It could be worse though, because of course, at least she'll turn up for her regeneration, like Colin Baker, who it was just Sylvester McCoy in a wig.
But to be fair, I side with Colin Baker. The BBC treated him really badly.
Oh yeah, of course. But I watched it the other day.
It's a shame. It really is.
It's quite funny because they just turn him over, and then you can quite clearly see it's Sylvester McCoy, and then they just take the wig off, and then it's somebody else.
But then you and I could probably do a whole episode on how Colin Baker's Doctor could have been done better. Because as we've seen with Peter Capaldi, a darker Doctor does work. And to an extent with Chris Eccleston as well. A darker Doctor can work. Sterner, more, but as long as you show enough heart that you know it's still the Doctor.
On the subject of Peter, I've recently been looking back at some clips from the beginning of Series 8. And I don't remember a Doctor in my time watching it where I have seen so much character development.
He started out being completely heartless, didn't he? Basically.
Yeah, very cold, almost monosyllabic, with no intonation in his voice, and in parts a little bit like a dark Malcolm Tucker, so to speak. But now,
very dark and very alien.
And as he sort of settled into it, and you can see it not just through himself, his mannerisms, his hair, his clothes. It's all just shifted into a position where he's just totally comfortable with it. And I think, and it's interesting because I like he is now, but I don't dislike where he was before, and I like the fact that he allowed the character to actually develop in a way that maybe we haven't seen so much in the past. Perhaps a little bit with Matt Smith, but not
Matt definitely deal. And David Tennant really over his last couple of years really
really bitter, didn't he? Yeah.
He got really bitter and really dark and quite But he was, I don't know, he was very interesting actually, David. And they have said in the when Chris Marshall was rumored, somebody said, there was a quote in all the papers and in all the online sources saying they don't want a woman, they want a sort of David Tennant type doctor to bring all the ratings back up. I get the feeling that they will bring it back to a somewhat more Tennant-ish character. Not exactly the same, obviously, but someone more, not quite as goofy as Matt Smith, not quite as dark as Capaldi, somewhere in the sort of Tennant Eccleston, nice little bracket of that sort of golden zone that really worked. And I think they'll do that, but with a female doctor, and I think it'll really work. I think we should finish that. But have you got any? Oh, you can first.
No, I was just going to say that I think that the ratings from her first episode are going to be huge because people are going to be tuning in either to the rater or to, with an open mind. I think it's caused an explosion of the internet already. And despite the fact that it was done the BBC did it in a really clever way, because what they did was they didn't tell us what time it was going to happen. By putting it at the end of the men's singles, it could have happened at 6 o'clock that evening, or it could have happened when it did, which was much earlier, which meant that people had to watch the tennis in order to find out who the next. But also,
and so the ratings for the tennis went up massively.
Yeah, but the last two times it's been Peter did it in studio with an interview, and the time before it was Doctor Who Confidential special. This
Yes.
Time. It was just a moment, and it was like, well, that's it. Oh, and then Sue Barker went, and there she is, and then carried on with the tennis. And I think actually that was a really good way of doing it, because you just sort of go, well, bam, it's happened. There's no sort of, it's almost like a shrug shoulders. Well, she's a woman now, deal with it. And I think they've handled it very well. And and also the way that I like the fact that we only knew it was going to happen 2 days ago.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That is basically, as we said earlier, their ability to keep this secret is very impressive, given how crap they were with John Sims' reveal. That was awfully done. So I think basically Chibnall. So I you know what? I think maybe you and I should get back into doing this get back on this old horse. But perhaps. But Chibnall should really learn from what has elicited good reactions from the fans in the past, and it's been big twists, stuff that I hate to say what the fans want. Not always what the fans want, but when we don't care, as long as it's got impact in a way, as long as it had the fact that she's a woman hasn't bothered anyone. Bothered anyone who's I think the hardcore fans don't mind. I think it's just people who think that because it's been a man's part. I'm going to stop. I'm not even going to try and argue myself out of that.
No, but I think one of the best reveals in Doctor Who history was when Professor Yana became the Master.
Yes,
and that was, like you say, very subtle throughout the series. The Vote Saxon signs in places.
And You Are Not Alone, which was a small thing, and then they combined brilliantly at the end.
The individual letters was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and the use of the pocket watch, which was everything with the whole series. I mean, as it turned out, the series finale, the resolution was. I'm not a massive fan of the resolution.
Really?
Well, the whole thinking about the Doctor thing, and that's the thing. I'm a massive fan.
I thought it kind of worked, but we can have different tastes.
But regardless of whether or not that actually works or not, which is not what we're talking about,
it was a great payoff. It was a great payoff for the year's work.
Yeah, and it actually was really good, really, really good, worked really well. And I think the whole thing about the resolution to that story is, for me, is an example of where perhaps sometimes Russell dug himself such a huge hole that meant the resolution was only ever going to be really tricky, and perhaps slightly not quite what you were expecting, and maybe not necessarily in a good way. I'm not saying that was the case for all of his series finales, but I think he had a real sort of taste for the sort of grand sort of war style.
Yes, that's true.
Everybody's done. The world is. But anyway, that's. But we could ramble on.
I think we could absolutely. I think Chris just needs to learn from basically what has been popular over Capaldi's time, because that's been the big ratings slump, and what's gone wrong with Moffat's time and what's gone well with Moffat's time. And I like the fact. I've got to say, I do like the fact that he's talked about having more of a series long plot.
Like he did on Broadchurch.
He can't have it all in one place. He can't have it all in one place, because the appeal of Doctor Who is that you're on a different planet every day. But having a sort of an overarching theme, sort of having something more like Vote Saxon or Bad Wolf would
but not Trial of a Time,
but ramped up a little bit, but not trying to imitate Russell, obviously. I think you and I should have another chat after Christmas.
We should do a review
about the appearance of the new lady, and of what we kind of hope for.
I mean, I think before this I was a little bit skeptical. I think I'm now more excited than I was expecting to be. But I think the thing is, I was skeptical when Peter was announced, and then I instantly fell in love with him, and so sort of I think I'll get over my prejudices quite quickly.
That's good to hear. Yeah, my reactions tended to be, oh really? Is that who it's going to be? Oh well, we'll see how that goes then. And then I watch the episode and I go, this is very good.
Yeah.
So I think I'm slightly more optimistic than you are, but we never know.
No, but I didn't. What I didn't do, I didn't shout at the TV screen in sort of like in staunch like, no, this can't happen. I just sort of, because I part of me just thinks, well, I suppose, yeah, all right, why not? You know, everything else is being, you know, the world is moving in a particular way, and you know, you can either just stand there and go no, or you can be like, yeah, or you can actually do what I think I tend to do, and just go, yeah, all right, whatever, you know, fine. I don't mind either way, I suppose. And I think really what matters for all Whovians is that she does a good job, regardless of whether she's a man or a woman.
Yeah, no, I think that's basically what we've concluded over the last hour and a quarter.
Bumper edition of the Whovian vlog today.
Oh,
which is
back
now
with a long ramble. This is such an overdue episode. Do you know what? Just for the lark, we should find what was the episode after. Was it The Woman Who Lived after the girl died? We should just do like a 5-minute review of that and just say this is the most overdue episode.
Yeah. But actually, we
just do a couple of minutes. But we missed so much. I don't think it's worth it. We've done a lot of catching up on this one.
But this is the first Whovian vlog for a very
while. To be fair, because we went to a fully audio series podcast type thing, but we don't have him anymore to do all the sound and stuff. So
yeah.
Who knows? Well,
should we wrap? Should we? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Mr. Baker. Yes. Well, thank you very much, Ben. I think this has been a very productive evening's work, regardless of
Mum,
what actually, you know.
Yes, live on air.
Oh, hi, Milo.
You're kind of ruining the end, which is supposed to be the end. I'm ushering you away. Thank you for doing my ironing, but
we love you, Ben's mum. We do. We love you, Ben's mum. We do. The third guest star. Oh, what a nice shirt.
Oh God, thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. It's just thank you. That's very kind.
Oh boy.
Look at my shirt.
That's worse than in 2015, 2014 actually. I think we were reviewing. No, I'll tell you which one it was. It was Mummy on the Orient Express we were reviewing, and I got called for dinner 12 minutes in. That was a good episode. Yeah. Anyway,
right,
lovely putting the world to rights with you as always.
Yeah. Thank you to our one viewer as well for
one viewer, whoever it was that joined us halfway through. This is basically just done for our own satisfaction. But if anybody finds our commentary interesting, I do occasionally think about our old jokes about taking this show on the road and going all over the country, sitting on a sofa rambling about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which was our old, you know.
Yeah.
Someday when we make it big.
We should say the next time we're back on air, which will be probably somewhere between
2020.
Yeah, well, somewhere between Christmas and the New Year or something, we will be back on the Whovian Vlog channel. Today was just
that was a good idea.
This is actually the first time me and Milo have spoken for a very long time.
On a call rather than just sort of sending messages.
Actually, was the last time we've properly spoken to each other when we did the last Whovian Vlog?
Possibly. No, I'm sure
Have we done something since then?
Now you're asking.
Because I can't think of anything I can't remember doing this since then. But we've been trying to do this for a while,
we stopped because the three of us had GCSEs and it got too busy. And then I don't think we picked it up again after them because it was 2015 and I went to Ecuador.
Yeah,
and then we were into A levels and we've chatted to each other. We spent some time in Cardiff together.
But that was before that, wasn't it? That was before.
Yes, that was that was 2015, wasn't it? Milo and Ben's Cardiff adventure.
It was GCSE year. Oh yes, and also watch that again because of course the Doctor Who experience is closing in the next couple of weeks. So that is one of the last few video records of the Doctor Who experience.
Someday, archaeologists, Whovians of the future, watching the 100th anniversary, they'll finish the 100th anniversary and then they'll go, now children, time for a bit of nostalgia. They'll boot up Get Milo Alive and look at that old chestnut.
Oh yeah.
I have a very grand opinion of myself. Anyway.
Yeah. We have 0 viewers. Hopefully, wonderful. We've lost our one viewer.
Oh damn. we lost our viewer. We were talking. It's too personal, Ben. It got too personal. We should have been reading out brand names as we did in the past. Between Christmas and New Year, we shall have to have a chat. I think we should break it down into 2 parts. We should.
Welsh cakes.
Oh, you damn Welshman. I think we should do a review of Christmas and then a chat about next year's hopes for next year. Stop showing off brand.
The Whovian vlog reads the Times.
That's all I've got. I've got a little Pokemon. I've got a Pokemon.
The City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra is sponsored by the Whovian vlog.
No. They sponsor us.
Dairy Milk sponsors the Whovian.
Oh, I use Dairy Milk as well for all my chocolate needs. I've got to dig out that episode. It's there somewhere.
Charles Terrett for all of your clothing needs.
Let's stop. I'll talk to you soon, Ben.
Yeah. All right. Nice speaking.
Nice speaking to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.